Precious tritium is the fuel that makes this
podcast
go. There's only 25 pounds of it on the whole planet.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider.
It seems I've heard that song before.
Call the patent office, copyright the name Green Goblin. I want a corner every time somebody says it.
That spider freak making me look ridiculous.
Up and away with!
What? Shazam!
Spider-Man?
Stupid reporters still think Puny Parker's Spidey.
Go, Web, go!
We're gonna have a hell of a time.
Right, there are many Call of Duties for him to play.
To be fair, the whole back catalogue, man.
There's enough Call of Duties, but there's only one Amazing Spider-Man, Bradley. There's only one of them. Right now, anyway. I mean, it gets quite... There's a few down the line. We won't lie.
That was an amazing segue. In fact, I'd say it's a spectacular segue. In fact, it may even be the ultimate segue.
Swinging Through Spider-Man, Episode 2. Last time we summed up Amazing Fantasy 15, the anthology where the Spider-Man origin story is contained. Today, we head on to the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1, which is Spider-Man's own story. And where does it start off? Well, with his popularity. He's a massive thing now, Spider-Man is. He's been on telly. He's been given his own magazine in real life, his own comic series, and within that series, he's on a TV. He's popular, and I'm really proud of him, mate. Really done well.
He's really come far.
Blood sacrificed his uncle, but he's really popular. Where did we leave off then? If you haven't tuned in, Spider-Man gets bit from a spider bite. Was an asshole. Got his uncle killed. He caught his uncle's killer. And he walked off into the sunset crying. We're on to the real deal now, mate. Amazing Spider-Man.
Essentially, if you watch the first 20 minutes of the first Spider-Man movie, it's pretty much exactly the same as the comic.
It's that. Especially, not so much maybe Amazing Spider-Man, the film, but more so the Tobey Maguire one. Definitely.
But Dad.
That's the one.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
This picks up instantly. I think there's a few months gap between the issues coming out, but this is instant. Peter Parker's on a mad one. He rips his Spider-Man costume off, screams about Uncle Ben. The funny thing is...
Wait. He's like almost $1,000 suit he just ripped off.
I mean, it's supple fabric. It might elasticate back. I'm not sure it's like ripping a shirt off like the Hulk. It's not like that. But the best thing is, mate, he doesn't blame himself for stopping the criminal. He's like, oh, it's the powers. I'm like, anyone could have stopped that geezer. He was, this scrawny crackhead running past. No, it's just a slap.
I mean, all you would have had to have done was trip him up. The police officer would have done the rest.
That's what I'm saying.
No, just
exactly my
Just
fault.
one stray foot, mate. Just 1 foot, 2 feet to the left, and he would have been gone. He would have been able to go home and show your web shooters off to your really touchy-feely uncle.
Yeah, life's different now, though, mate. Uncle Ben's gone. And Peter is really quickly finding out that it's shit. Uncle Ben was the breadwinner, and his family are really broke. And now his aunt is getting harassed for rent like everywhere, every day. Peter's like, I don't want to go into school anymore, Aunt May. I want to work. But Aunt May, of course, goes, Ben wanted you to be the best scientist ever. Please go stay in school.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, please. You definitely need to stay in school.
Well, Ben's not here anymore, is he, Aunt May?
Imagine if he said that. But the thing is, mate, he needs to get some money. He needs to get cash. He needs to get back on TV. He needs to do his thing. Pay his aunt. Sound. I'm feeling now he's got the powers to be an incredibly gifted athlete. That is a lot of money, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it would make perfect sense.
Join the
Some sweet
NFL,
sponsors,
go to college, smash the football team, get in the NFL draft, join the mad team, try not to get concussed, don't die, get a lot of money, it's famous for life, and no one even blinks an eye because you're a super athlete. But this doesn't cross his mind. He just goes, I can do anything except save my uncle. So now I need to kind of replace him and get some money. this takes quite a dark turn because he immediately starts thinking about robbing a bank.
Whoa. Whoa, Spidey, no.
Naught to 100 there. Naught to 100. But what stops him is that he imagines being caught and Aunt May is just crying outside of a jail cell containing him in his full Spider-Man outfit. So not only is identity compromised, but his aunt has got nothing left.
Why is that so? Like, why is the image of just Spider-Man like behind bars in full Spider-Man outfit? Why does that tickle me so
It's
much,
just
man?
how sad he is as well. It's really.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I don't find that Peter Parker actually thinks like a regular person. Like, he gets bit by a radioactive spider, and then rather than going to the hospital as the first port of call, he's like, "Yeah, I've definitely got to go destroy Bonesaw or Hulk Crusher or whatever the hell his name was." Like, and now he's like, "I need to make money." Rather than hitting up Job Center or whatever, he's like, "Gonna go rob a bank."
Yeah, he goes. It's 0 to 100. And the only thing that stops him is the thought of being caught. And I think, that doesn't stop me committing a crime. It's because I know it's bad.
Of course.
But Spider-Man goes, I'm not going to be an athlete. I'm not going to rob a bank. I'm going to go back on TV. And I'm going to earn that honest TV paycheck.
I mean...
Can't blame me for that. I'm a celebrity pay as well.
Would they be eating him? Because he's a spider.
What if he eats a spider? It'll be cannibalism. It wouldn't be, he has the DNA of a spider now. Cannibalism doesn't treat people well. They get that weird brain disease that makes their brain into a sponge.
Yeah, I'll play Last of Us, I know.
Yeah, you don't turn into like a mushroom man with teeth for a head. But
I mean, to be fair,
you do
anything's
die.
possible in the world of Spider-Man.
Anything, except Peter Parker being cool because his classmates are again ripping the piss out of him. And now they're actually worshipping Spider-Man. They can't wait to see Spider-Man on TV. And of course, the irony is that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So while the classmates are taking the piss,
no way,
they're taking the piss out of him, and he is Spider-Man. No, if only they knew. If only they knew.
If only.
It's incredible that nobody has a chance of knowing who Spider-Man is because they're so far apart. Except they've got the same voice.
Especially considering he's on TV as well.
Yeah, it's incredibly strange. Spider-Man. This is good. This is really good. Spider-Man finishes the TV show and he goes to get paid, but it's not like a cash in hand job this time. It's like, this is legit now, dude. This isn't just a one-off. The producer's like, you're part of the crew, so we need to get contract details and we need a check written out. We need to cash a check. It's got to be taxed. Spider-Man's asking you can write. He's obviously not going to write Peter Parker on the check. He's asked for the check to be made out to the Spider-Man, and it's just the pure that would not work. Why just not go make it out to May Parker?
Yes, that's first name The, middle name Spider, last name Man.
And the producer's like, he sees, I know the producer's trying to do him here. He goes, you're going to have a tough time catching this, boy. And then Spidey goes, I'll see about that. And he goes to the bank and the teller's like, fuck off. He's not having... Yeah, the guy's just like, you need identification because anyone can wear the Spider-Man mask. And I think,
Spider-Man's there like, no. I've spent almost $1,000 on this soft, supple fabrics. You just lean over to the teller and tell him, like, stroke the mask. You will know its quality. Only the real Spider-Man will stand up.
Imagine if he had like a certificate of authentication on the inside of his shirt. But it's not.
To be fair, all he would need to do is literally just crawl up the nearest wall.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, look at this. Watch me do all these zany tricks, and you will believe I am the Spider-Man.
Just like...
He could have joined the circus.
He could have. Right,
He could have done anything.
The world was his oyster. He could have done absolutely anything. In fact, he could have done anything a spider can. Eh.
You know, if the guy cashes this check, he's gonna get sacked. That's fraud. You know, that's the biggest crime in the Spider-Man so far, except the murder of his uncle. You know,
I don't know. I think the biggest crime was spending almost $1,000 on soft, supple fabrics for your superhero costume.
I mean, he could have just had a crap one, and no one would have cared. He could have spent 50 pence on it. He could have just made it himself rather than buying everything to then make it yourself, but an excellent version.
What was wrong with the sock? What was wrong with the sock hood?
Yeah, I mean, you know, Iron Fist literally has a sock head. Luke Cage doesn't care about who identifies him. Daredevil's kind of cool. Out of those New York bunch, you know, Jessica Jones goes around as Jessica Jones. It's like, why does he have to be? And I guess it's explained later on. We're not going to like go into stuff we haven't read because we know it from films.
Yeah.
But I guess there's quite a good explanation for it. I guess, I guess.
Well,
But
it's like the only reason how come he covered his identity in the first place was he's like, I'm scared of being made fun of. But then at the same token, you're Spider-Man.
no one's gonna make. He knows he's awesome.
Exactly. So why are you even gonna bother? At this point, he's not like, oh, I need to protect the people I love. I need to do this or that. He's literally just like, I'm scared that people are just gonna start ripping the piss
You know,
out
it was
of me.
Reefer Madness as well in that Marvel office. They've just been making this shit up as they go. Fat joints sticking out, man. Just literally, the deadline's coming up. Shit. What do we? You know that's been going on because some of the twists here just to send the plot. Like it's just like, do you know when someone's driving a car and they're on the motorway and the junction's coming off or the highway? Sorry, if we've got, and they just fucking bomb across the lanes. And it's just like, that's what the plot is like in this. It's just fucking bombing the hardest it can from A to B. I'm grateful for it, to be honest, because I've read a few future Spider-Mans, like, recently, and it's cinematic. It's like there's a lot of depth to it.
I mean, like, I'm like Virgin Snow when it comes to the Spider-Man comics. I think I've only read one or maybe even two Spider-Man comics. So, other than the outside media, like the movies and pop culture, I'm literally new to this. So, it is quite interesting finding out, you know, the origins, like the legit origins of where he comes from and how things were sort of like, you know, scoped in the 60s sort of atmosphere and the way how, you know, the social parts of it are also, you know, entwined into the stories.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong, essentially, with Spider-Man's life, except that,
His uncle's dead.
but before, it's like, he's just normal at high school because everyone kind of gets that at high school, except if you're in, like, the group, like, everyone gets it. But you've got your best friends and stuff.
Unless you're absolutely dreamy Flash Thompson.
Unless you're Flash Thompson. I've got no problem with Flash Thompson. He's doing everything right.
He's a winner. Man.
He's got a car Peter Parker can't drive. You know, Flash Thompson can drive. It's just like Peter Parker had the same chance to drive. He doesn't. But mate,
no, he could have drove. He could have bought a car. But you know what he did instead? Bought soft, supple fabrics.
Don't forget the web shooters. Essentials, mate.
Oh,
essentials.
Okay.
Let's not forget the essentials. But man, speaking of making money and getting those essentials, after the check clearly doesn't clear,
he's like sitting at home and he's just like the check bounces. He's like, oh my god, no way. This foolproof plan.
It's like the producer's like, oh god, that £100 didn't go to the Spider-Man. Whatever will I do with this $100 that is now back in my bank account?
He's obviously gonna spend it all on hookers and blow because I'm led to believe that's what producers do.
I've not seen it from this certain producer, but I think we could infer that from the data we know. But a very famous character is introduced into the Spider-Man story now, Brad. The scene switches to a man writing a hit piece on the famous Spider-Man. He's unidentified, but he hates Spider-Man. And I know this because of how fast he's typing.
I wonder why you would hate Spider-Man.
Okay. There is no reason for this man to hate Spider-Man. Literally none. There is no reason. No reason at all. And it's another thing that affects Spider-Man's life. He heads back to the studio. I don't know why he does after the check bounces, but the producer goes, yeah, the show doesn't exist anymore. Because of you, basically. And he's like, what have I done? And the producer just holds up a newspaper, and it's literally just Spider-Man on the front cover saying Spider-Man is a menace. And the producer's like, I don't want the bad press, so the show's gone.
So literally, like, the show gets sank because I'm guessing it's a Daily Bugle. He's
Of
like,
course it is.
oh god, just like
And they just
completely
ruin
wipe
him.
out a show.
They're just like, but it's not. It is like the big newspaper, isn't it? And it's like, this man is the worst man.
Sort of like the Times.
Yeah,
or-
it's like it's the only newspaper we know exists at this time in New York City, and we know it's a big deal. And it's got a whole front page spread that literally says Spider-Man is a menace, and it.
and at this point, he's done nothing but appear on TV.
He has literally just been on TV, swinging around.
Jesus Christ, that's some hard press.
Of
That
course, the writer of the piece is revealed as none other than Jonah Jameson, the powerful editor.
my man.
My boy, the absolute chap. I mean, there's a letter at the end of this issue, I believe, and it says, I hate Jonah Jameson is the most despicable person I've ever read about. And I'm like, fuck, what? This is a very innocent age if this is the worst man ever. Because like right now, the president of the United States is the worst man ever. You know, not just a fictional character. But yeah, he's a editor of the Daily Bugle newspaper, and he's giving lectures around New York City about Spider-Man, like how much he hates him.
Like he goes purely out of his way, just like preaching about in the newspaper that pretty much all of New York is going to read anywhere, because like obviously didn't have amazing podcast streamed directly to your phone to listen to on the way to from wherever you may be going, or at work, or you know amazing podcasts such as Swinging for Spider-Man. I don't know.
Yeah, just that.
But everyone was just reading newspapers back in the day, so he hates him so much he had to get it out of the office, put on a coat, stand on a soapbox, and still go preach his hate towards Spider-Man.
Taking it to the street. Absolutely. It's a guerrilla warfare. It's just.
Especially because Spider-Man's done absolutely nothing to him either.
But there's no fuck to him.
He's just been on TV. But then again, I suppose if you compare that to this day and age, there are people that are on TV now, and people will quite happily flood Twitter and the likes just to spread hate about people that they don't even know. So maybe it's not so far fetched.
Jonah's issue with Spider-Man is that kids might copy him, and that people should worship real heroes like my son, the astronaut, John Jameson, instead of the Spider-Man. I'm like, okay, man.
Oh no! Don't you dare shorten his name to 2 names.
No, John
You said
Jameson
a
is the
whole lot.
astronaut. John Jameson's the astronaut, and Jonah Jameson is the dad.
Junior.
John Jameson. John
Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. No, I thought his name was James Jonah Jameson Jr.
It's a whole thing, I
There's too
think.
many
I think
J's,
it's a
man.
whole thing. But John Jameson is the astronaut. And I think it's just JJJ, the dad, the editor, is just jealous and just doesn't like this shit because. But the thing is, he's in a position to make his son really popular by putting him on, I don't know, the front page of the Daily Bugle newspaper.
Very possible. I want to see him have a fight. That'd be the way to really decide it.
Spider-Man could punch him
makes
right
sense.
out in a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Peter goes on a mad one because he sees his aunt sell jewellery to get rent money. I mean, that's distressing. I mean,
Yeah, especially if it was like real
Big time.
sentimental. It was from Ben as well.
yeah. And he starts punching the wall and he blames everything on Jameson. And I think he's fair to do that. But in terms of revenge, he doesn't really do anything. He kind of just shows up at the rocket
I
launch
mean,
of the Ash.
let's think about it. He's not really helped himself, considering he was like, "I'll get this check paid to him." Even though the producer's like, "This ain't gonna work," then he's like, "Watch it. This will work." Like he's not helped himself at all, really. Like we've already established that he could have done anything, like anything, and like I could think of like 20,000 jobs. Well, it's an
He could have
exaggeration,
done.
but I could think about 5 jobs straight off the bat that he could have done easily and still got paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, he does get rejected for a job, but that's like, I think it's a really good job that he just kind of turns up at, and they're like, no, go away.
Was he wearing his Spider-Man mask though?
No, he was just looking at Peter Parker, and I think
Oh,
you'd
there
rather
you go.
someone come dressed as Spider-Man and go, yes, you are the Spider-Man. You can
Well, at
have
the end of the day, when you think about it, if he just took off the mask, he could do interviews. There's like thousands in your pocket right there and
And
then.
it's like, no one cares. It's like, it's just like, oh, I'm the Spider-Man. Everyone knows my identity now. I'll never be the Spider-Man again, but that's okay, because I earned a shit ton of money, and I can do the right
Get
thing
the
and
wolves
help
away
my,
from the
you know.
door. Aunt May's like living in luxury then.
Yeah. But instead of doing anything productive, he just shows up at the rocket launch of John Jameson's shuttle. I don't know how this happens, but of course the launch fails and John is flung helplessly in a shuttle through the sky. And of course, who's on scene to save him? Who's on scene to be the hero?
Wait, if the shuttle's flying through the sky, that's not a failed launch. It launched off the ground. It's a successful launch. It's just a failed
It's
flight.
in the air, but it's going nowhere.
Oh.
They try and catch the launch team at the command center. They try and catch the shuttle with a net.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I am no astrophysicist, but I'm pretty sure that you can't drop a net from above a rocket ship and catch the rocket ship with the
Well,
net.
James, you just said yourself, astrophysicists, so how do you know? How do you
I don't,
exactly?
but it's testing me.
trying
Lord knows it's testing me.
trying to fit my melon around that.
Of course, the net doesn't work, Brad. Because of course it doesn't.
God damn it! If I only got some of those astrophysicists.
If even one person could tell me how this would work, I'd be very grateful. And I won't accept it from you. I won't accept you telling me that this works. I need it from a qualified
Some
professional.
Brian Cox or some Stephen Hawkins.
Yes, exactly. But that's not the most unrealistic.
James, this is the thing about astrophysics nets. They will catch the rocket. Is that good
That
enough?
was very. I'll take that. Thanks, Dr. Stephen Hawking, for making an appearance on this humble podcast. But Pete, what happens next, mate? There's a few things that happen here that are even more unrealistic than catching a out of control shuttle with a net.
Please,
And
please take me out of the suspense. Please tell me.
okay, firstly, Spider-Man is on scene, obviously, so he runs the control center. He jumps in and demands the part that wasn't in the shuttle, so he can put the part in to help the shuttle kind of land, because there's clearly a missing part on it, because they would shoot a shuttle into space without the single part that keeps the man in the shuttle alive. And they give him the part.
I'm just imagining the launch control now. The fact that that part has been taken straight to launch control and it's not still sitting on the engineering bench. Like it's launched, and they've just gone, Jerry, was this part important? And the other guy's just like that, like, well, would you look at that? I guess it's gonna crash. Best get the net. I like the fact that they got the net there as a fail safe anyway. It's like, obviously these guys have forgotten more than one part in the past that they've had to go research and developing these nets that catch rockets that fail at launch.
This is what I'm saying. He it is just a bit much from him because not only has he broke into a military installation during a secure rocket launch, he's also hijacked a plane with someone in it and assaulted a soldier. So he's not making a good name for himself, I feel. And I've sent you the artwork specifically, mate, because I need you to see this. That it is just a bit of a stretch, and I take it on board, and I do like it, and it was fun to read. But I don't think this is hero material. I think if you're gonna rob a fucking military jet,
I mean, JJ may have a point here. You know, you break into a military base, you assault military personnel. I'm not gonna lie, that's sort of like the descriptive factors of a menace.
yeah. So the whole thing happens. He's in the air on the jet, and he needs to kind of attach himself with his web as it passes by, which he does. He needs to slap in that part, which he does, and everything's gravy. The shuttle lands, and of course, Spider-Man must at this point protect his identity because now he's like, this is criminal. I'll tell you straight now, this is straight up criminal.
Look, only now it's gone past that point where he's like, oh, I'm gonna get made fun of, and now he's like, oh, I'm breaking the
Oh
law.
yeah, we're one issue into Spider-Man and two into his story in total, and there's not been a whole deal of crime fighting going on. It's more he's compromised the crime scene when he broke the police hostage situation, and in this one he's committed quite a few domestic terrorism incidents.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's literally just been him begging for money and then bitching about not having money.
It's a whole. I keep saying, it's just a whole thing at this point that we just have to accept. He doesn't exactly get away with this, by the way, because when he runs off, he's like, "Aha! The Daily Bugle must declare me a hero." Instead, an arrest warrant is issued for him, and Jonah Jameson isn't happy. He accuses Spider-Man of sabotage, attempted murder, the whole lot, and to boot, Aunt May hates him. She hates the Spider-Man. She doesn't want nothing to do with the Spider-Man. She's like, he's an idiot.
I'm not gonna lie, Aunt May, straight up Daily Mail reader. Like,
She's read the newspaper once.
she read the newspaper.
She's not an informed reader. It's just, this is the thing. If he existed today, if Spider-Man literally started today, Jonah Jameson would run one of those weird fake news websites. That's just like, it's literally just made up shit. And it's just like 10 reasons why the Spider-Man's the worst man. And it's literally just bullshit. And there's loads of adverts everywhere, there's pop-ups just flying across the gaff. That's him. But in the 60s, he runs the most prestigious newspaper in New York City. And he's got Spider-Man against the wall. Spider-Man, for the second issue in a row, is crying and running off in the end, questioning his powers and what they've brought to his life.
Again. That one's become a bit of a running theme.
But that's not the end of this issue, Brad. That's not the end. It's like, it splits. This is weird. There's two parts.
It's like JML, and it's like, but wait, there's more.
There is more, and the more is the first villain.
Oh, sweet.
The Chameleon, who has no powers at all except a bag of masks.
So, like, kind of like Arya Stark then. I mean, come on, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's literally like he's got like skin masks.
Oh, this took a turn, man. This went from zany, wacky.
Imagine how
60s stuff.
stinky those masks must be.
It's Ed Gein, the villain. I mean, not like Ed Gein isn't already a villain.
But yeah, it's not like skin mask. It's like proper realistic, obviously.
Fake.
Skin
Okay, yeah.
things. It's not real. I mean, edgy Spider-Man in the future might have him like that, but he's just got no powers at all. He just runs around pretending to be people. This part starts off with Spider-Man once again thinking about money and what he needs to bring to kind of the table, what he needs to do to support his aunt. he thinks I must team up with the Fantastic Four so I can get money purely. I don't know where this information comes from. He just thinks if I team up with the Fantastic Four, they'll give me money because they'll be impressed with my ability. And to impress them, he actually commits another crime, mate. Would you believe it? He literally just breaks into the house.
Oh
Their
wow.
like penthouse suite. Yeah. He kind of just goes in through the window and he's like, I'm really smart. But obviously the Fantastic Four are smarter than him. And this isn't a crime that goes unnoticed because there's just a crowd of people below him just looking looking up and going, wow, that Spider-Man, he's like a man spider. He's just like crawling. And they're like,
Hey Jeff, Spider-Man. It's kind of like a human spider. It's kind of like a man spider, wouldn't you say?
they're just like, at this point, it is just. And Brad, there's another bit of artwork I'm going to show you.
Definitely got some.
The alarm goes off. The alarm goes off, and Mr. Fantastic's neck.
My man. Oh god.
It's across the room at the alarm, like. The neck has gone across the room to look at this alarm, and they're like, "Oh, the Spider-Man's trying to break in, so let's fucking leave a trap."
No. He's not even looking at the alarm. He stretches his neck purely to shout at the other Fantastic Four, like Mr. Fantastic. I've got the power of speaking to people from across the room. You don't need to stretch your neck for that. Especially considering he looks like he's holding somewhat dangerous chemicals.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like his power is also disrupting people's personal space. No one wants just like a neck and a head coming at them real fast. Because, it's not like a slow movement. His head is zoom, zoom.
No, he's just like, what? And he's straight there.
And it's just how... It's also, the flip side of this is how Spider-Man thinks that the smartest people in New York are stupider than him. And that's just, come off it. These guys go across dimensions, they go to space, they go all over the place, and I'm not having any of that at all. I think
no, none of it. Not
and
one
these
bit.
guys aren't having any of it. They set a trap. So what the trap is, they just leave a window open. And Spider-Man goes straight for the window, and they literally get a massive fucking cup and put it on top of him.
Did they get a massive newspaper then afterwards?
No, beat the shit out of him with it. Nah, I thought that'd be fucking hilarious. Man, just murdered him with it. But he tears this container open because he's smart. And they're like, nah, none of this. The Thing walks over and punches him straight in the face.
What a man.
So he's escaped out. The Thing walks off, punches him in the face. Spider-Man's obviously super strong. So Spider-Man turns around and slaps the Thing across the room. Then it's just a scrap. They're like, everyone's getting involved. The Human Torch is trying to burn him. The Invisible Woman tries to like put him in a headlock, because she's invisible. And he doesn't detect her until his spider sense kind of kicks in. The fight breaks out. Mr. Fantastic, like, wait a minute. What the fuck are you coming in here for and kicking off for? And Spider-Man just goes, please give me money.
Like, outright as that?
He's like, I really need a job. I really think I've proved myself to you. Can you please just hire me? And they're like, no. This is not something that's going to happen.
I was about to say, a guy just breaks into your house and asks for a job. And you just... You're not going to, are you?
No, not at all. And they're like, we're a non-profit organisation. And then in his anger, again, he just sprints off. He's gone. And they're like, hang on. We could have, like, helped you. We could have not maybe given you a job, but we could have maybe paid for your stuff. And he's gone. Like, he doesn't care. He's just like, no, I'm done.
Spider-Man out.
Speaking of the man we introduced there, the Chameleon, our scene shifts to the edge of the town where the Chameleon's obviously up to shenanigans. He's holding an entire building hostage, like a military installation hostage.
I'm not gonna lie. military installations in the 60s, not the best security.
They're everywhere as well. They're fucking everywhere. Like, every building could possibly be a military installation.
Wait, hold on. What if it was the same military installation that launched a rocket? Could you just imagine? It'd just be like, oh my god, twice in one
Just
week.
Again with this guy, like again. It's just like, you know, when we work in retail and that one customer comes in, like for me, it was like Sainsbury's when this one guy would wait and order all the goat milk when it was going off, so he could get all the goat milk for 10 pence, and he would stack it. And he had one of those wallets where he couldn't be scanned, so his contactless card obviously wasn't working. And it was just a whole, you know, the customer you just don't want 2 minutes before the shop's closing. Spider-Man is literally that person at this point. He's just showing up every time when no one wants nothing to do with him. Like the Fantastic Four are literally people who save the universe from fucking splitting in half constantly. They're always saving the mad shit. And Spider-Man's like, I think not only would I fit in your team, I'd be the best member of your team. No.
Well, to be fair, if you manage to fight off all 4 of them.
But it's not about fighting, it's about being the right approach. You know, you can't
Although
literally punch a hole in the universe back together. You could try. But not
I
happening.
suppose you could. But I do quite like the idea of, like, Mr. Fantastic. He's like, right, we need to set up this trap for Spider-Man, and his instant thought is like, I know, we'll get a massive cup. He's supposed to be like one of the most smartest people in the world, and he's just like, yep, cup. And then when he rips it apart, he's just there like, oh god, why did that not work?
He did fall for the trap. I mean, he had to. This is really thinking on your feet stuff, because Spider-Man was like trying to break in exactly at that moment. So he's like, literally, snap, I'm on it. And that plays a big part in this story, actually, because everyone has seen Spider-Man try and break into the Fantastic Four's apartment, and it's news. It's like, is Spider-Man joining the Fantastic Four? Who knows? And the Chameleon hears this, and he's like, oh shit, that guy must have the powers of a spider. And thus, this is going to take a real suspension of this. This is going to really test you now. I must be able to contact this Spider-Man on a frequency that only a spider could hear. And it's like, what in the fuck? But then a message is broadcast from the Chameleon that only Spider-Man can hear. And the message, it was like, if you meet me here, it'll be really profitable for you. And Spider-Man, of course, loving money, he's straight there. Seconds.
So what I'm hearing is that Spider-Man is Scrooge McDuck.
He's like not Scrooge McDuck in the sense that Scrooge McDuck has loads of money and Spider-Man has none. It's just that.
That's a good point.
But he does act like Scrooge McDuck in the sense that, oh, profit, like I can turn the profit, and it's how he talks about it. It's just like, oh man, there is a profit to be made. I am off, and it's just like, you need to check these opportunities, because, you know, you see them around. You know, when you're driving around and you see like a job advert, like literally plastered to a bus stop, and it's like you turn up and you get a headset told to you, and you're told to sell like windows to people for 15 hours, and you get shouted at. It's like they don't tend to be like the best things. If someone says, I'll pay you straight up, it doesn't ever turn out to be like a great thing. And if you're a superhero, it can go really wrong if you just turn up at a place just for money. And of course it does. And the
especially
Chameleon
when
dresses...
you just turn up at the Fantastic Four's gaff, just like you're not gonna get your head caved in. Like it's not just anywhere. It's a Fantastic Four's like pad. You can't just turn up and be like, give me money. You went door to door salesman for Sky. You couldn't break in unless they actually opened a window for you. You weren't that good.
He thinks he's sick. That's the problem. He thinks he's... It's a massive difference from Peter Parker. As soon as he puts Spider-Man on, he's the man. But when he's Peter Parker, he's not the man. And Spider-Man just kind of shows up too late here, because the Chameleon has literally... He's dressed as Spider-Man. He's walked through the building, stealing all the missile codes that he can get, runs off, and Spider-Man's like, oh, shit, there's me. on the roof. There's literally like Spider. That is not the real Spider-Man. And they get into a little tangle. Spider-Man's like, "Oh, he was bringing me here to frame me for stealing every single missile code." And he chases this. The Chameleon Spider-Man runs off in his helicopter, and Spider-Man's like, "Shit, I need to catch this guy." So he flings himself across town with this web slingshot thing. He fashions a parachute, lands in a speedboat, and speeds the fuck off towards this Russian submarine that's just there.
What?
He gets into the helicopter, flips the helicopter over, lands in the helicopter, and just beats the shit out of the Chameleon in the helicopter.
Okay. I'm on board.
And this is when it does one of those meanwhile things that this happens a lot from now on. And meanwhile, this is like the regular done thing. It will just skip a big section of the story and just cut somewhere. And in this meanwhile, after the Chameleon's been battered and Spider-Man's flew him back to New York, the Chameleon comes out of the helicopter and just drops a smoke bomb and sprints off, and he's gone. And then he changes into a policeman looking for the Chameleon.
Oh god.
And the police obviously fucking turn to Spider-Man and are like, "You're under arrest, sir, because there is already an arrest warrant out for you. You're under arrest." So they grab the Spider-Man, and the Chameleon's on this dressed as a policeman, beating him. And Spider-Man's like, "Wait, my Spider-Man sense tells me that one of these policemen is the Chameleon.
Oh god.
And I know who it is, and I'm going to hit this policeman." So he gets into a fist fight, this uniformed fucking officer. He's held down, and obviously he goes, "Nah, I'm not getting caught now. I'm fucking Spider-Man, I'm off." Spider-Man fucking launches himself out of Dodge. He's gone. And the Chameleon's standing up like, "Wait, hey, that was funny, guys, wasn't it?" And his fucking outfit's ripped to shit, revealing every part of his uniform. And then the Chameleon is arrested.
Oh god.
How quickly this happens.
I quite admire the brass balls of him. Just be like, "Guys, that's Spider-Man, am I right?" What are you looking at?
Ripped into every disguise.
Just layers of like just bad disguises. What I want to know is if Spider-Man spent next to $1,000 on his outfit, how much did Chameleon spend on his, man? Did it go to the same textile store? It's
The
like
Chameleon is a pawn of the Russian state.
no.
And he has been paid off. I can tell from the hammer and sickle on the side of the submarine. Yes.
Oh, grazie, man.
He is being paid off by the Russians.
Oh man.
Them terrible. The boogeyman. They're always the enemy, the Russians are.
Yeah, man. Fear the Red Menace.
It really is. It's just like there's just a random hammer and sickle. Look, the Russians could be anywhere. The communists could be anywhere.
Loose lips sink strips. No, but we need to remember the social climate of these comics when they came out. The nuclear family was freshly in the minds of people. The nuclear power was the way forward. It was this amazing thing that was going to solve all the world's problems. Up until it became a massive problem of like, oh shit, there's actually like people can launch this power at each other. So then it became like, the topic for all of the comics at the time. I mean, you look at any of those Marvel heroes at the time, it was like Captain America, radiation, Spider-Man, bit by a radioactive spider, the Hulk, infused with radioactive blood. It always comes down to what was happening at the time that it was made. So obviously, when this comic was made, the tension between America and Russia was starting to get high.
Yeah, and like the Chameleon literally started World War III. And if this was in real life, and this probably could have happened along the lines, but if a fucking Russian is found stealing every single launch code, that's done. It's like the missiles are already gone.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the Chameleon's obviously like the communist threat is everywhere. Like, even in your son and your daughters, it's like, it's there. And it's such a weird thing to, like, be scared about.
Dad, are you part of the Red Menace?
It's like, it's almost really strange how the Chameleon does reflect that, because he could be anyone. And the police got him in the end. The good guys won. But who comes off this issue worst, Brad, is Spider-Man, who, for the third time in the row, runs off into the night crying.
Oh God, the third time.
But you have to remember, this is a big failure, because the police literally went to beat the shit out of him and arrest him. Like, that's, for a superhero, that's like the bottom. That's the lowest. That's like, forget his uncle being killed. If you're on the side of the police and then they hold you down whilst the Chameleon's there, beat you, then say you're under arrest, you're done. You know, you're not doing your job.
I mean, it's perfectly easy for him to just put away the mask and be like, "All right, we're done now. It was good whilst it lasted."
Yeah, and
Well, if with his super strength, why doesn't he just, I don't know, make up another alias and go back to wrestling?
he could do a lot of things, but he's not doing them. And what this ends on is the Fantastic Four are discussing Spider-Man and how they need him on side, not to be in the Fantastic Four, but because he's dangerous. Like, he's literally fucking danger. Like, if this was in the wrong hands, he'd be a real threat. And
Mate, of course he's dangerous, man. He took over a military base.
of course, they've got to worry about him. And I think that might be something that kind of pops up later about the Fantastic Four kind of going, just shutting his shit down. But I think that might be something that comes up. And that'd be pretty cool if it does. Because it's just like he's teenage and he's getting reckless and he could hurt someone. And the Fantastic Four are all about, you know, being pretty serious because they deal with some serious shit. Despite the way they're dressed, you know, look, that's another thing entirely. But it's serious stuff. Spider-Man's got a lot of attention on his back now, and that's where we conclude Amazing Spider-Man #1. Incredible.
Wild ride, man.
Yeah, man.
Wild ride.
It has been a wild ride. And again, that brings this one to a close. So thank you once again for listening. It's always a pleasure. And the next time will be Amazing Spider-Man #2. And I'm very excited for this one, Brad, because it is. I mean, the Chameleon's a supervillain.
This is messy.
But
it's messing with my mind, man, because it's episode 3, yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like, it's almost as though episode 1 was like some sort of pilot.
So almost like Amazing Fantasy was a pilot for Spider-Man, I guess. But yeah, you're completely correct in what you're saying. But next one, Amazing Spider-Man #2, actual supervillain, genuine one.
Oh, awesome!
Genuine one.
Oh man, I can't wait.
But yeah, Brad, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for that one, and I think it'll be really cool to discuss our first actual supervillain, because the Chameleon's not really a supervillain, is he? He just fucks around a bit. It's like Shocker, I guess, who we'll get onto. It's just someone who's there. But you have the real deals, you know, the real threats, and I think next time our real threat comes in, one of the biggest threats, one of the biggest supervillains is introduced, and it'd be pretty cool. So yeah, again, if you've liked it, leave a review, subscribe, follow us along, speak to us. You know, we're cool to interact with, down to interact, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. I'm always up for speaking to strangers. They have the best candor.
Wow. You can find me on Twitter. Bradley's not on Twitter. He doesn't need that. But we're at Spidey Podcast on Twitter, and we can both kind of speak through that. And yeah, anything you got to say, we'd appreciate that. But yeah, next time, amazing.
We definitely appreciate constructive criticism. You know, anything that you feel we could improve upon, you know, let us know. Even if you just want to say hi or want to speak to us about other Spider-Man things, or if you have any interesting Spider-Man facts that we may also be interested in speaking about, especially the sort of stuff that was going on around the comics when they were made, and that's also very interesting.
But just don't tell me that I'm wrong about this, because I've had so much Spider-Man in my head. I'm ready to fight someone. Really ready to fight. But yeah.
Jamo is ready.
I am. But I just don't want to see him whine anymore. I just can't deal with Spider-Man whining anymore. I just want him to beat someone up, and I'm ready for it. I'm really ready for it. And I think next time, I've done the notes. I'm ready. I've done my research. I'm ready for it. And I think it's it's a turning point. It's Amazing Spider-Man #2, our third episode. It's a turning point, and I can't wait for you guys to find out who it is. And obviously, you can Wikipedia it and spoil it for yourself if you're so inclined.
I mean, is it really spoilers when it's been out for like over 40 years?
I guess so.
Half a century. Mate, he's the way how he's throwing his arms about when he's running off. Literally,
Yeah,
sob.
he's really
Actually
not
has
happy.
in quotation marks sob. That's so funny.
He's like, I wish I'd never gotten my
turns out
superpowers.
right. So I wish I had never gotten my superpower.
Thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next time on episode 3. So goodbye.
Yep. See you later, man.